So you're getting ready for a new year, 2026. And if you're like most people, there's this mix of, hope, but also just noise. It feels like we're all fighting for clarity in a world that's kind of designed to keep us off balance.
It really is.
Mm.
With AI, deepfakes, the algorithms,
Mm.
it feels like the ground is constantly shaking underneath us.
Mm.
And this is why we wanted to dive into this particular set of source material. It's a series of reflections plus a sermon transcript, all called Grounded for 2026.
Right.
And its goal is just intensely practical. It's about how you establish, a spiritual and intellectual discipline that's strong enough to handle all this.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Our mission today is to really distill the strategy these sources are proposing for building a worldview that's actually anchored.
Yeah.
We're not looking for just another list of resolutions. We want to understand the system for filtering truth from trends, real conviction from just popular opinion. We
Mhm.
need tools for grounded faith in a world that feels like it's shaking apart.
And to get that stability, the sources insist on something pretty counterintuitive right from the start. The foundation can't be based on just human effort.
The starting line isn't self-help,
Exactly.
which is a huge contradiction to everything we hear in December, right? It's all about setting goals, tracking habits, optimizing your life, conquering your past failures.
Mm-hmm. But the day one devotional is titled simply, But God. And it just rejects that whole frame. It points you immediately to Ephesians chapter 2.
And what's the core idea there?
Well, the passage describes us as being dead in trespasses and sins, which sounds harsh, but it's really about a kind of spiritual numbness,
Yeah.
a total inability to change our core nature just by, trying harder.
And that's where you get these two most powerful words in the whole series.
But God.
But God, yeah. If we were spiritually dead, then any move toward life, it can't come from us. It has to be an act of, divine mercy.
Precisely. The shift from that state of brokenness to being made alive together with Christ it's an intervention, an act of love. And this is key because it changes the whole New Year project. It's not about making yourself a little bit better. It's about resurrection.
Wow. Okay, that shift is massive. So if it's not just about me and my self-discipline, what's the practical evidence?
Mhm.
How do I know I'm operating on this resurrection power and not just my own willpower?
The sources explain it this way. Resurrection power means you are no longer defined or paralyzed by your past failures. Self-help often collapses because it runs on your own emotional energy, which, goes up and down.
Right.
But divine grace offers a fresh start that's based on something unchanging. You're freed from having to measure your worth by your failures. You can actually move forward with a hope that comes from outside yourself.
So it's not about ignoring the past, but it is about not being ruled by it. It recognizes that real change needs a new nature, not just a new planner. But does that new nature automatically give us better discernment? I mean, is there still intellectual work involved?
Oh, absolutely. And this is critical for navigating the world of AI and deepfakes. The sources move right from that spiritual foundation to the need for intellectual discipline.
And they push back hard against any idea of blind faith.
Yeah, they do. What's fascinating is the example they use from Acts 17. When the Apostle Paul gets to Thessalonica, he doesn't just stand up and demand belief.
No, the text says he reasoned with them from the scriptures.
He reasoned with them.
Ah.
He spent time explaining and proving why the Messiah had to suffer and rise from the dead. This shows that real, authentic faith isn't some leap in the dark. It's not based on vibes.
It's a trust that's grounded in reasoned truth and history.
Mm-hmm. And the lesson for you, preparing for 2026 is so immediate. If you want to counter the pressure of all those emotionally charged clips and misinformation, you need something solid. You need truth.
If God himself engages in reasoned argument, then our faith shouldn't be threatened by honest questions.
That is the critical takeaway. Real faith is grounded. It's built on God's word and character, and that requires our minds. There's this charming little anecdote in the sermon that highlights this need to, rethink our direction.
Oh, the story of the 3-year-old girl
Yes.
who very seriously puts her Labrador puppy in timeout and tells him, you need to rethink your life choices.
I love that. And the new year is a natural time for all of us to rethink our life choices, just like that pup. But the difference is, a puppy chewing a shoe is trivial. Our choices about truth and worldview, those are foundational.
Which means we need a really rigorous model for deciding what's actually worthy of our belief.
And that search for a rigorous model brings us right to what the sources call the gold standard for seeking truth. the Berean model. It's later in that same chapter of Acts.
Yeah, and it's such a fantastic comparison for our situation today.
It really is. You see two totally different reactions to the same message. First, you have the people in Thessalonica. They get challenged, they become jealous, they form a mob, and they try to shut down the message with chaos.
The passion-driven, anti-intellectual response.
Totally. But then you get the contrast with the Jews in Berea, who were described as more noble.
And their nobility wasn't passive, was it? It was defined by how they engaged with what they were hearing.
That's the perfect balance. The sources say they received the word with all eagerness. They were hungry, teachable, ready to listen, and they examined the scriptures daily to see if these things were so.
They were hungry, and they were meticulous fact-checkers.
Exactly.
And this really highlights the danger of imbalance for you, the learner. If you are only eager and you don't have that discipline to examine, you just become gullible.
Yeah, you're easily misled.
Yeah.
By the loudest voice, the most confident speaker, the slickest deepfake, you're just running on enthusiasm.
But on the flip side, if you're only examining, if your default is just cold skepticism, always tearing things apart, you risk becoming cynical, intellectually paralyzed.
When you can't receive anything new because you're just suspicious of everything.
But the combination, eager plus examining, that creates a strong, teachable, grounded person. It builds a steady spirit and sharp discernment that refuses to let feelings or, a TikTok clip outrank the truth.
And the sources are clear that this daily examination is so important because the battles we're fighting every day are, well, their attempts to hijack our passions, which leads right into the dangers of following the crowd.
And this is where the sermon brings in that unlikely figure, the German philosopher.
Yeah, Arthur Schopenhauer, the famously pessimistic guy from the 1800s. It feels so relevant to navigating digital mobs today.
He had a pretty dim view of humanity, didn't he?
Oh, extremely. He claimed that only about 5% of the world is genuinely intelligent or capable of rational thought. The other 95%, he said, make their decisions based on following the crowd, emotion, or justifying what they already want to believe.
That's brutal. And the sermon connects that 95%, the group driven by irrationality, straight back to the diagnosis in Ephesians 2.
It does. That people are driven by the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind. The key difference, though, is that Schopenhauer just stops at pessimism. He sees no hope for the irrational masses.
But the scripture continues with the promise of, but God.
Exactly. It offers a way out of being ruled by that blind striving.
Yeah.
The challenge for you is just recognizing how susceptible we all are to being part of that 95% crowd.
And our technology just magnifies that susceptibility exponentially. The sources use this powerful analogy, warning that algorithms don't just want to sell you a product.
They want to sell you a worldview. The sermon warns that these platforms are designed to get you to believe what is beneficial for them to have you believe.
And they know the fastest way to engagement and profit is not through calm facts. It's through stirring up our passions, fear, anger, outrage, lust.
This is way beyond simple advertising. It's cognitive manipulation. The pastor in the transcript even admitted he got his own account hacked because he thought he was too smart to be fooled by a simple scam.
That's a chilling warning. People are actively hacking our heads, our brains, our thinking process. The ease of just scrolling through clips means our convictions are being shaped without us even realizing it.
And if you're not careful to engage your reason, you fall into the trap of what the Bible calls the fool.
Which Proverbs describes in ways that are startlingly relevant. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion.
Sounds like a lot of comment section.
Yeah. Or, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes. And maybe the most humbling one. Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool.
And the sermon cautions that people are far more likely to follow a confident leader than a correct one. If you just follow someone because they deliver their opinion with high energy, you're prioritizing style over substance.
Okay, so if the world is this kind of organized chaos designed to manipulate our passions and make us foolish, how do you actually anchor yourself? What's the solution?
The solution the sources advocate for is the fear of the Lord, from Proverbs 1.7. That this reverence is the beginning of knowledge. And it's not about being terrified. It's a deep, respectful reverence for God and His truth.
And that reverence changes everything. It provides a stable lens, right? It gives you a non-negotiable standard to measure all the noise against.
It leads right to that final call to action, the analogy of the wise builder in Matthew 7. The message is just, you need deep roots. You have to build your entire life, your decisions, your family, your finances, your voting, your whole worldview on the Word.
And the sources are really clear about the consequences. If the word isn't fully engrafted and ingrained in your heart and mind, if it doesn't shape what you actually do, you will be fooled when the shaking comes.
And to help you get there, the devotional series suggests these immediate, practical action steps. They're all about digital hygiene and where you put your attention.
I thought these were great. The first one is digital hygiene. Unfollow 3 accounts today that consistently stir up fear, anger, lust, or confusion in you. Just cut the fuel line to the algorithm.
The second one tackles time management head-on. Commit to 10 minutes of Bible reading before 10 minutes of checking your phone. It's a deliberate reordering of your attention. Build your foundation before the noise starts.
And the last one is a physical commitment. Put your actual physical Bible where your phone usually sits. On your nightstand or your desk, it's a literal way of saying, this comes first.
And if you approach the new year with that kind of reasoned discipline, rooted in that new nature, you're adopting the Berean posture every single day.
So when you put it all together, what this all means is that your intellectual discipline and your spiritual discipline are inseparable now. You can't have one without the other in a world that's designed to manipulate our passions. Being grounded in 2026 really demands you adopt that Berean posture every day, eager and examining.
And the sermon raises this chilling idea that, given the level of technological influence, even the very elect can be fooled. Which brings up a really important question. If your foundation is not consistently engrafted and ingrained into your heart and mind through that daily reasoned examination, how susceptible are you and the people you influence to belief systems that are totally contrary to your core values? What consistent daily action will you commit to ensure your foundation is solid enough to stand against the inevitable shaking and the sophisticated manipulation that's coming?
That is something worth taking a deep dive into every single day. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.